Hello and welcome to Random Packet Loss. My name is Kieran Maxey and today we have a game from the first round of the Reading Regional. So we have Ben on the left playing Whizzard and Danny on the right playing Sync. So this was the first major tournament, at least in the UK, with the updated Most Wanted list. And of course, 23 Seconds had also been released. So the biggest hit, it seems, was nerfing MBN by making AstroScript's program unique. You can only have one per deck, and of course a whole swathe of cards on the Anarch side being put on the Most Wanted list. But so here we're going to see Danny's just going to make some money first turn and Isop HQ, and it looks like Ben is going to take full advantage of this open R&D by playing a medium and Dirty Laundry, and that is a Sansan. So this is a so Sync was one of the major decks that kind of first came out with the new meta, 23 Seconds, most with the addition of hard-hitting news. And the way these decks tend to work is that they gain a huge amount of money and then they start rushing out, and unless you can make a bunch of money, if you run, you'll get hit by hard-hitting news, and so that will give you 4 tags, which are each 3 to remove. So you have to have 12. You have to spend 12 credits and 4 clicks. So what you end up having to do is to really... It's almost like, you're worrying, does my opponent have hard-hitting news in hand? And it looks like Ben was just right there to go on the aggro, and it looks like Danny did not have the hard-hitting news. Now Danny has to be a bit upset about this because that's kind of your big threat. And if the runner has established that you don't have hard-hitting news, that's really kind of declawing you, especially now that Ben has got an R&D lock. He can see basically every card that Danny is drawing and know when that hard-hitting news is coming. And so yeah, it looks like Ben is just going to continue his assault on R&D. There seems very little reason not to at the moment, because as I say, if he's seeing every card of the top of R&D, he can prepare for when the hard-hitting news comes. And he's also installing a Liberated so he can money up. Again, I think this is a good plan, because it means that when he does see the hard-hitting news, he can money up. And this was my experience of playing Sync. I took Sync on the day with mixed results, and I found the issue was that it was all very well, creating a situation whereby if you have hard-hitting news in hand, the runner can't run. But you kind of have to just bluff it that you have the hard-hitting news. And sometimes people just call your bluff and then just, steal your agendas, and it's really, really rough. Like hard-hitting news, although it's, it's a 3 of in a 44 card deck, it's still, your strategy is revolving around this one card. And it's kind of tough. I found this, a lot of people seem to have the same conclusions from playing Sync at the tournament. It was a very, very popular ID. But as a result, people were teching against it. We were seeing networking everywhere. A lot of people running New Angie City Hall, and yeah, it was a tough one. On the flip side, sometimes people just don't respect hard-hitting news, and for example, if Danny had hard-hitting news in hand first turn, this would be a very, very different game. Ben, he would absolutely have played that after Ben made that run at the start, and yeah, it'd be a very different game. But it looks like that was a Sansan, and Danny's just going to go ahead and score an AstroScript, and that is the one Astro he is allowed in the deck. So yeah, I think this is quite a strong play, because that Astro being there means he can always at any time just score a fast advance of breaking news, and then have another click to play tag punishment. The main tactical punishment being closed accounts or even exchange of information, which is brutal with so exchange of information, which if Ben steals a GFI will be absolutely brutal, because suddenly Danny will gain 3 points, Ben will lose that point, and those two tags stick. But it's only if Ben doesn't steal all the breaking news first. It looks like just continuing that assault on R&D, hit a CVS, but no big deal at this stage. There's no ice on R&D. Danny probably just playing the game of where the hell's my ice, but literally basically any piece of ice will do right now just to slow down this R&D lock. I mean, obviously something like a Data Raven, or to us actually a Gutenberg or something like that would probably be ideal, because then Ben will run it, he'll take a tag, and then have to clear the tag and all this stuff. So I mean, it's still kind of anyone's game at this point. Ben definitely has the upper hand at the moment, but looks like Danny's just going to score a Beal. That puts him on 4 points, which is actually very... that's quite strong in sync, because that means you're 3 1-pointers away from victory. This deck, I don't know Danny's exact list, but most of these lists were running 3 counter-predictive model and 3 breaking news. Breaking news, of course, can be scored from hand, and I think the correct play for Danny here would be to score them as soon as he gets them. And also, if he manages to get a Raven or something on R&D, suddenly those quantum predictive models will become almost an instant score. Because if he's got like a Data Raven on HQ, Data Raven on R&D, a Data Raven on a remote, there's no way that Ben can steal those, and they're just 3 points for Danny. So Sync is still very much applying the pressure here, but he really wants to find some ice here. I mean, it's a very ice-light deck. Normally you're kind of relying on the fear of hard-hitting news to kind of defend yourself more than ice, but since that hasn't happened, yeah, Danny really wants some ice. I mean, this is really rough, because like, look at how much money Ben has compared to how much money Danny has. So here's some ice, but the trouble is Sync really wants to outmoney you, so you can land those hard-hitting uses, land that trace. But we're getting some money here from Sweets Week. That will help. If Danny can draw some, proper economy, this could go very well for him. And we're getting a Faust here, so doesn't even need to spend credits to break ice. Faust was, of course, put on the most wanted list, but you know what? It's still like possibly the best breaker in the game. So what influence? I was seeing a lot of Whizzard decks which saw that all their cards were on the most wanted list. It was like, you know what? These cards are still really good. I'm just going to play all of them anyway. Like you can just play all of the most wanted list cards and a levy, and then that's fine. Also hit Ben just hit a turnpike here. That's a very good piece of ice against Faust, because he has to lose a credit, then has to either spend 2 cards to break, which is just a lot for a piece of ice that costs 2 to res, or take the trace. It looks like he's just taking the trace and just taking the tag. This could be very good for Danny if he hits a quantum predictor model, but no, I see an exchange there, so Danny will be looking to use that if Ben ever scores a GFI. Credit differential's not looking so big now, but there is still a Liberated in play. Of course, Ben clearing that tag, because I assume he isn't completely insane. No, now is not the time to go tag me as Whizzard. You're kind of... I still think Ben kind of has the upper hand here, but it's a very hard one to call. I mean, Danny does have 4 points already. And as I say, it's very easy for Sync just to score like those last 1-pointers. I mean, if Ben's intention is to just take the tag on turnpike on the way in and then clear it, then yeah, suddenly there's two kitties left in the deck, and they're just going straight into Danny's score area. So one thing Sync might try and do here is just start to put a bit of pressure on Ben's economy. This could be by sort of creating a remote server and sort of never advancing in it. Data Raven is amazing for this. Data Raven is just, in a tag deck, it's just the most taxing piece of ice ever, because they have, they have to take the tag unless they have some shenanigans. And a QPM behind a Data Raven, as I say, it's a free score, and best case scenario, they run through the Data Raven, take the tag, have to break the subroutine because you can't let that trace fire, and then give you the QPM without you having to even advance it, and then they have to like clear the tag. That is, best case scenario for Sync. So I think I missed, I think. No. Well, okay, so we've got a David here. So that's going to help break any Gutenbergs, but not really do... Well, okay, but wraparound as well, actually. I don't know how many wraparound Danny is running. Resistor is obviously kind of the more kind of obvious choice, but some decks run a wraparound as well. But again, it's a very ice-light deck. There's not a lot there to really try and tax people out. I think because you don't want to spend your money rezzing ice, you want to spend it tagging them. Okay, so it looks like Danny's doing that. He's creating a server. And he's probably going to try and force Ben to run through it a few times just to stop him from scoring agendas. Again, I believe Ben is only on 2 points. That gives Danny a lot of leeway with kind of feeding him points to, or like, trying to score out. And, if he loses one, it's not a big deal. This is kind of the worst thing with Sync is if the runner scores too many points too quickly, because then you suddenly can't feed them global foods. You have to sometimes exchange one of your 1 pointers for one of their 2 pointers, and that's just not the value you want to get out of exchange. You want to be exchanging one of your the ideal situation is score breaking news, exchange it, swap your 1 pointer for a 3 pointer, and then the tags stick, because the ability on breaking news that causes the tags to go away no longer is in effect. So suddenly you have to clear 2 tags as well, and those are 3 credits each. This Sync deck, this Sync deck is quite brutal. I think it's quite fragile. But it is also quite brutal, and it looks like even that less from ideal start for Danny there, where he didn't have a hard-hitting news when he wanted it, he's recovered quite well here. Yeah, I think. So he's thinking long and hard about this. Not sure what you... you can kind of just start sort of like going for agendas. You kind of need to... If he's got a hard-hitting news in hand, this becomes... Because it's a bit of a different decision. Because if there's a hard-hitting news in hand, he can try and bait the runner into just losing all their econ, and then hit them with the hard-hitting news. But the trouble is, Danny's economy isn't amazing either. But there's a lot of cards in the deck which can gain him a lot of money very quickly. Celebrity Gift is often in a lot of these decks, and that will gain him 7 credits before he does the hard-hitting news. So, shall see. Looks like Ben's running the server. No res on the first piece. And there's the Data Raven. Yeah, Data Raven just horrendously attacks a piece of ice. Now Ben has to decide, does he think that that's a quantum predictive model? Because if that's a kitty, then I say Danny is very happy if he runs through that. But it looks like he's taking the tag. This is rough when he's... I don't know what click Ben is on. but he really wants to make sure he has enough clicks to clear that tag. So he's breaking the Raven with Faust. Again, you cannot let that fire. That's a global food, which to be honest is still really, really good for Danny. He's very happy for Ben to have that, because he'd much rather exchange it. And it looks like so he's going to take some money and is he going to clear the tag? Does he have the clicks? He might have. Oh, I don't think Ben has the clicks. If he's floating a tag for a turn, this could. We know that Danny has drawn a closed account, so he's sort of harmed earlier. This could be really, really bad for Ben. Yeah, that is really bad. So gain credit. Here's a closed accounts. Yeah, that's all of his money gone. Oh, there's a hard hitting news. Now that is absolutely brutal. So Ben now has no money. He is going to take 4 tags, each of which costs 3 to get rid of. I mean, you have to go tag me at this point, but you know, become. Yeah, you cannot hope to clear those tags anymore. You just have to hope that you have to take advantage of the fact that most of Danny's ice is now blank because you don't care about the tags, and that you can just steal the agendas before Danny finds the tag punishment to deal with it. He's playing an employee strike. I don't know about this. It seems to be a little bit too little too late. You cannot hope to clear these tags. Yeah, I mean, you just have to run like an absolute mad thing. So does Danny have the punishment to pull this out? He's taking a draw. He has no money, but yeah, it looks like he's just going to take 3 credits. That seems perfectly reasonable because you don't want to trade a 2-pointer for a GFI. It's just not really worth it. You want to score breaking news if he has it, or even just. I mean, it is now basically impossible for Ben to score quantum predictor models unless he has like a film critic or something, which I doubt he has. It's like he's just taking some money. Okay, so score breaking news. Well, no, score breaking news. Yeah, score breaking news this turn. Then exchange it next turn is seems like a strong play. But you can just never advance something in this server. So what's the question? I mean, I guess putting a cat in that server would be funny. But again, it doesn't really matter where you put it, because that data raven is now blank. Danny probably doesn't want to res whatever that ice is. Okay, unless it's a resistor. But then again, if you put a cat in there, you don't want to stop them. You just want to tax them and then make them take the cat. It looks like Danny's just taking money, so that's a credit hedge fund, I believe. Yep. Ben. Okay, so Ben's economy has recovered now. And his chronotype. Oh, because he was on 3 clicks. Sorry, I completely missed that. He had wild side and therefore was only on 3 clicks. That's brutal, actually. But does Danny have the? Okay, so that's the psychographics. So he's going to psychographics a GFI. That's. Yeah, so that's. Oh yeah, sorry, that's game. Yeah. So he just psychographics a GFI. That gives him the last points he needs. And yeah, so well played by Danny there. Excellent recovery. Unfortunate for Ben that he just didn't have the time to clear that tag. That is really kind of the tipping point of this game, and this just shows kind of how brutal these sync decks are. If you let yourself get tagged for a second, they're just gonna destroy you. But again, it's a bit variable because you never know, what if you're going to draw your tag punishment at the right time. Now, unfortunately, I will not be able to show you this second game because my camera died because it's rubbish, which is a shame because I'd love to see more Geist. You know how much I love Geist, but unfortunately, it wasn't. It was not meant to be. So until next time, this has been Random Packet Loss. My name is Kieran Maxey, and thank you for watching.